Is hiring a financial business coach actually worth it, and do they really increase your revenue? Hi, my name is Simpson, and I'm here to help you maximize your time and talents as a growing small business owner. If you're looking for tips, tricks, and experiences on how to make that happen, I put out videos every single week, so make sure to subscribe down below. My experience with a business financial coach started in the fall of 2018, so it's been over 4 years at the time that I'm filming this video. A little backstory is that my now husband and I were working with a personal financial coach for a couple years leading up to me working with this business financial coach. So this was before we were married, but we had moved in together, had a mortgage together, had a dog together, and we just wanted to kind of make sure we were on the same page financially and make the best of what we made. This put us on the fast track to achieving what we wanted with our financial goals. And so since I had seen how successful it was on the personal side, I was like, well, I guess the business side would make sense too, since I am kind of struggling in that area and could use a little more clarity on how to make my big dreams happen. I had heard of mentors and regular coaches that kind of just amp you up and kind of help you go in the right direction of what you're looking to achieve goal-wise, but I hadn't heard of a financial business coach. So as a financial business coach, his main objective is to make sure that the finances are in alignment, always balanced, and that those are making sense for my goals and where I'm kind of going with the direction of my business. It's definitely a very logical-based coaching, but there is the emotional aspect of it too. You're like a little toddler. Yeah, you're like a little toddler. This is my child. So before I worked with my coach, I had all of my finances in 1 to 2 bank accounts. I think I had one main checking account and one main savings account. And this was one of the first things that we set up differently. I got several different bank accounts. We're talking, I have a main checking account for all the inflow and expense payments and all that kind of stuff. As I grew a team and I had contractors that I have to pay, I now have a sole contractor account. This is where all the payments of the people that work on my team go to live, so that I'm not touching them and I'm not taking too much money, so then I wouldn't have something to pay them with, because the way our business works is I will often get payments a year or two in advance of when the actual event takes place. And so I need to hold on to that to then be able to pay people later with. I also have an emergency fund savings account, which has come in handy multiple times because you never know what's going to arise in business. The pandemic was a great example of that. I also have a tax savings account, and this is where I will sock away some money when it's busy season and I'm making a little extra income and I just know that I'm going to have to pay the IRS more than I want to. Welcome to Business 101. So I like to have a little buffer in that account. That way I am not feeling the pain as much, because even though I still have to make that payment, I know that I am safe and have it. Another perk to having a business financial coach has been the accountability factor. So similar to a regular mentor or a coach that just focuses on your hopes and dreams, he keeps me accountable in how my finances are lining up with those hopes and dreams. For example, one of my big goals was to get a separate commercial beauty studio space, but I didn't know how or when that was going to happen, how much I should dedicate in rent a month, utilities, all that kind of stuff. When I first hired him, I was working out of an in-home studio, and so making this leap was going to be a financial undertaking. So to give you a little timeline, I started working with him in the last quarter of 2018. By the beginning of 2020, I was looking at studio spaces, and it was about to become a reality before the pandemic shut everything down, but it was a blessing in disguise because I would have had to have several months of rent paid out, even though I wasn't working for several months during the pandemic start. And it also led me to the space that I am currently in, which I love so much more, and it's just worked out so much better. But financially, along the way, he was helping me break down how much the cost would be per month, how much I'm bringing in a month, how much I have to bring in a month to make these things a reality without putting me under. Another example is I always had the dream being a makeup artist would be my full-time career, and that was the only thing I was doing to make money. So I didn't have to do DoorDash or babysit or do all of these odd part-time jobs. It would solely be that I am working on it in my business full-time, and that's what brings in personal income. This was a massive goal of mine and something that I had had as a goal for almost a decade at this point. When I first hired him in 2018, I was not paying myself at all. So what that meant is any income that the business was coming in with was going right back to the business to grow it. Now, although this has its time and place, and it's definitely important to reinvest in your business pretty much forever because you want to continuously grow it, make it better, enhance it. One of the big end goals of being a business owner is money and time freedom. One of those giant goals is being able to do this as a full-time legitimate job and career so that it pays your bills, your personal bills, not just your business bills. So I believe it was after about maybe a year or so of coaching, we started in small increments paying myself. And I mean small, like $500 a month. But let me tell you, once I started paying myself anything out of my business, I never went back. I never went back to paying myself $0 again. So there was always motivation to keep bettering and keep going so that I can continue to give myself raises essentially. It was really exciting knowing that the sky was the limit as a business owner and that I was starting to see that. Yes, there will always be difficulties and things you have to overcome, but it's really cool because as a business owner, you get to choose when you give yourself raises. So I started at $500 a month. And then I started doing $500 every couple weeks, so bi-weekly. Then I would increase it to $750 bi-weekly, $1,000 bi-weekly. I'll tell you that my preference is being paid bi-weekly. I really do like being on the same pay cycle as my husband so that for personal budgetary reasons, it just kind of simplifies things so that we know every 2 weeks, both of our paychecks are coming in at the same time. I can say without a shadow of a doubt that hiring my business financial coach is a big reason why I was as prepared as I was when the pandemic hit. At this point, I had been working with him for 2.5 years when the pandemic shut us down. So I had the emergency fund pretty stocked. I had the tax savings ready to go. My contractor account was staying steady. So even though weddings had to get postponed, those payments were there whenever they had to get paid out. And even though inflow greatly reduced in 2020, I still had buckets that I could choose from if I had to pay myself, if I had to pay my business expenses every month, because the reality is, even though the pandemic shut us down, we still needed to pay things. Like I said, if you had rent, unless people were really understanding, you still had to pay that. I still had to pay, random things, even if it was like my email newsletter list and things like that, because those don't go away. They still expect their payment every month. Now, in addition to this, I was able to get both the PPP and EIDL loans, and I'd love to expand on those if you have any questions or you'd like to know my experience on those, because I have learned quite a bit through the last couple of years, especially with the EIDL, because that was a big question mark for the last 2 years. So comment down below if you want to see a video dedicated to that, and I'd love to help you with that in the future. But basically, I had all of these different buckets that were ready to go and kind of got me through 2020. Then the wedding boom of 2021 and 2022 happened, and so we were kind of like back on the right track to where I needed to be financially and business-wise. So outside of the accountability factor and just helping me to make this a real business, what I mean by that is a real business, again, does pay you. A real business has good inflow and outflow every single month. And ideally, a real business is growing year after year. Another thing that he helped me with was my profit and loss. So profit and loss, P&L, is something you have to get real familiar with if you are a business owner. So basically, this is showing you the ins and outs of what you are spending money on, what your expenses are, as well as how much money you're making, what you're bringing in. And this is going to help you. It helps you with your CPA and what they have to do during tax season. It helps you keep up with your goals in terms of what can you reasonably afford. So if you have a space you're trying to get, or you have some $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 investment because you have a new venture you want to try, can you reasonably afford that? How much money do you have in the bank to continue paying yourself through a slow season? Things like that. Honestly, knowing my numbers inside and out has been such a comfort and such a joy to learn. Now, I am not a math person, okay? You kind of have to be to a degree in business, but I'm not a math person. Like, I would never want to be an accountant or a financial business coach. Neither of these entertain me at all. They are not my niche at all. However, something that he really prides himself on with his clients is he knows that we know what is going on in our business pretty much at all times. There is such a comfort in knowing how much is in your bank account or what to expect in terms of your monthly expenses next month and 2 months and 3 months from now. There is such a comfort in knowing that even though there are busy seasons and slow seasons in your business, if you play it right during your busy season and you're smart financially, that means it'll help you get through the slow season to when you can then beef up your account in the busy season again. So knowing my numbers inside and out and just knowing what to expect on a regular basis really helps me so that then I know, okay, what are the reasonable risks that I can take in my business? What should I hold off on? Maybe I should save for a year to do something, or maybe I can take the leap tomorrow. Things like that are so important to know because I pride myself, I didn't need a business loan until the EIDL, essentially. I wish I was still debt-free. That is the only debt I do have in my business is that EIDL loan. I do pride myself in the fact that I never had to take out a business loan besides the EIDL to grow it to where it is. It was kind of like a slow and steady and strategic growth. So lastly, he really helps me talk through future ventures and goals and dreams and pivots logistically and financially. I will say he has been helpful from time to time when I do get a bit emotional about things because listen, if you're a business owner, emotions can run high, especially if you're dealing with clients and customers. People are people and it can get very tricky from time to time. It can definitely get overwhelming. So he's also very helpful when I am a little bit more down and out, and he will remind me of how far I've come. He will remind me, hey, we have set these things up. So even though I know that you're feeling it right now, and that totally makes sense too, just remember you can actually handle this, not just because of your personality, but because you've set yourself up to be able to handle some of these pitfalls. But like I said, he really helped me get to the studio space I'm in now. He helped me get to buy this house that me and my husband bought last year. He helped me release my own cosmetic line. Now, this isn't to say that there weren't failures in all of these ventures. There were. I released a course that I worked on day and night for 3 months during slow season when I should have been taking it easy. I released it and got absolutely no sales. And that is the reality of being a business owner. Sometimes no matter how hard you try, there will be things that fail. But those failures lead you down the path of what's going to be your success. You just have to keep going. So at the end of the day, my business financial coach did help me increase my revenue. He keeps me on track, he keeps me confident, and he keeps me making sure that I am staying down the path that is meant for me, whether that means pivots, whether that means keep going with what you're doing. The highs, the lows, he's there through it all. And so he truly is the combination of somebody that will support me emotionally and financially and logistically and all that kind of stuff within the business. I've been working with him for over 4 years for a reason, because even though, yes, there is a monthly payment that you have to pay, he's in business for himself too, and he deserves it. That has come back tenfold in the knowledge that he has given, the actual work he does on my spreadsheet and my profit and loss and all that kind of stuff. It's so worth it. Just so you guys know, I've never actually met him in person. I live in Connecticut and he lives in Texas. So all of our meetings take place virtually over FaceTime. So I don't know if he is taking any new clients. I'll have to ask him. But if he is, I'm totally going to leave some information about him in the description box because I don't think I get anything from it, honestly, but you will. Like, I promise. I've referred a couple people his way that have been mind blown just as much as I have. And I just want to see other people succeed. So on that note, next week we are talking about breaking down my costs as a bridal beauty business owner. Try saying that 5 times fast. So if you want to check that out, I'll see you next week.